Hello, it's Ruby, and today I'm going to run through 12 ideas of things you can do in your free time as an introvert when you don't want to see other people. This isn't to say that introverts don't enjoy spending time with people. I enjoy spending time with my friends, but I also like to spend time recharging by myself. And I feel like most ideas of things to do in your free time are social things, but as an introvert I end up finding that quite draining. Today's video is also very kindly sponsored by BBC iPlayer. I'm going to start with the very obvious one, I apologise. Reading a book. Just spend an afternoon reading. For me, this is the most recharging activity that there is. I love to curl up with a blanket and a book, a mug of tea, maybe something to eat, and just sit there for a couple of hours and read. It's funny because I often feel guilty for doing something like this, something by myself. I feel like societally we think of social activities as being a kind of acceptable form of leisure activity where it doesn't matter if you're not being productive, whereas as soon as you're spending time by yourself it turns into you being lazy, misusing your time. I think that's quite an interesting distinction. Hustle culture kind of convinces us that it's okay to spend time doing social things for leisure but not okay to do things by yourself. You can also sit outside somewhere. At university I like to find green spaces on campus or sit under trees, find remote benches, and there were a few places that I would always go back to, and I personally find that I recharge most when I'm in nature. So if you're at university I recommend trying to find some green spaces on campus or off campus or local parks where you can sit and read. Number 2, okay, this one is a bit random, but try it because it is actually very good fun, and it's also a little bit of a unique, unusual thing which you can do. I haven't done this many times, but I've done it a few times. I feel like it's the kind of thing you can't do too often. Go to a coffee shop or any public place. You could go to a bookshop, you could go to a museum, but come up with a character and then act as that character for that outing. You're likely not going to be talking to many people. I don't think of it as like deceptive. As I say, I've only done this a few times, but come up with an idea for a character as if you're writing a story. I'll write it up in a notebook and I'll think about, you know, what they do for work, what their interests are, why they're here at this coffee shop today. Come up with a whole backstory, which in itself is really good fun. Wear something which you think that character might wear. It doesn't have to be a very eccentric character. For example, the one that I've come up with is I'm a master's student and my cat has recently gone missing, which is a very random scenario. There's something quite fun about just going out to a public place like that and tapping into somebody else. It might not be for everyone, but it's something worth trying. The reason I like this is because it helps me to be creative, and when I'm writing fiction, obviously that's important. Number 3, have a little movie night by yourself and set it up so everything's very cozy, you know, blankets, a hot drink. This actually brings me on to the sponsor of today's video, which is BBC iPlayer, because BBC iPlayer of course has so many shows that you can watch. The one that I've been watching recently is Kunk on Earth, which is so funny. This is the Rise of the Machine one, which is the 4th episode, and I'm just about to start it. Well, I've just started it. And it's just so funny. I don't tend to like that many comedy films, but I just find this hilarious. It's some of the best comedy I've watched. It's all a documentary narrated by Philomena Kunk, who is played by Diane Morgan. She's basically exploring these key concepts in human history and world history, explaining them as you would in a documentary. And she's just at the beginning of this one started talking about air, like humankind used to survive on this air, and then she explains air as if nobody's ever heard of it. It's brilliant. If you want to watch it, then I'll leave the link down below in the description box. If you like satirical comedy, then this is probably right up your street. Number 4, bake a pie, but decorate it very nicely. So you could create a themed pie, like a pie, this one I made before, but today I made an apple pie. You could make this for yourself, but I actually made this for my dad because his favourite dessert is apple pie. But I think it can be quite fun to decorate it nicely and use cookie cutters. Number 6, I'm a big Notion fan and I use Notion a lot. So one cool thing if you do like Notion too is to just kind of make a completely new page for something random. I just find it's quite a cozy way to spend an afternoon, and I definitely did this a lot when I was at university and I wanted like some time to myself. Next, make a nice meal for yourself. Just because you're eating by yourself doesn't mean that you can't make something nice, you can't have a fancy meal. So, you know, set the table properly, light some candles, maybe get some flowers in. Just make it special. Like, you deserve yourself to have a special moment and share a special moment with yourself. It doesn't have to be with somebody else. Actually, I think it's really important to do that. I mean, I love the whole trend online of taking yourself on a date, and I guess that this is just an element of that. Next, you can make some bookmarks. This is so therapeutic and actually a good one to do with friends as well, like other introverted friends. Blakeney and I are both introverted and we like doing this. We did this over lockdown. We'd video call and then we just make bookmarks together, so definitely something you should try. Number 8, I do not have to tell you how much fun it is to make Pinterest boards, and this is definitely one of my favourite things to do. Next, go to a museum or a gallery by yourself. I actually prefer going to museums and galleries alone. I do also like going with friends, especially if they're also interested in it, because then you have good discussions, but it's fun being able to take it completely at your own pace. And I also love writing up reflections and like journaling after seeing these exhibitions, because then I feel like you get more and it's like having the conversation afterwards. And museums and galleries in the UK, there are so many free ones and so many good ones. Next, go street rambling. This is inspired by the Virginia Woolf essay Street Haunters, and I actually made a short film about this back when I was 15, so I thought I would share the beginning of this just to show you the introduction to this essay. It's a wonderful one and I would definitely recommend reading it.
As the fox hunter hunts in order to preserve the breed of foxes, and the golfer plays in order that open spaces may be preserved from the builders, a desire comes upon us to go street rambling. Getting up, we say.
Really? I must buy a pencil. Street rambling is when you just walk around kind of aimlessly, not really knowing where you're going, but you go through a city area and you just kind of like wander around and observe people. And leading on from that, also go on a nature walk. Nature walks are my favourite thing and I try and do them every day. Just visit the library. Just go to a library and wander around. So you've got the Dewey Decimal System. Randomly think of a number between 1 and 1000 and then find that Dewey Decimal number in the library and just like take down one of the books and just read something from one of the pages and see what you learn. And then finally, this one is something I've done with Blakeney again, so it's a good one to do with friends. Go to a graveyard and look at the gravestones and think about the people behind the gravestone. One thing that I've done before and I want to do more is you find the names on the gravestone and then you try and find out about them, which is especially interesting if you can find Victorian graves. In Exeter, for example, there's a gravestone which commemorates somebody who died at the Exeter Theatre fire, which happened in the 1800s. I think this is a really great way to explore local history and learn something that you maybe wouldn't have learned before. It's the kind of history where you feel very connected to it because you're actually looking at their gravestone. Anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you got some ideas from it. Thank you again to BBC iPlayer for sponsoring today's video. As I say, there'll be a link to Conk on Earth in the description box, and I hope that you have a productive week.